How do you see role of young lawyers in the bar politics? Because it's been said that it's the youngsters, it's the young blood, which always and have been on the forefront of any movement. And in the success of every movement, it is the young lot of that movement who drives the actually is the driving force for it. So, how do you see the young lawyers driving the politics, bar politics?
Yeah, as far particularly young lawyers are concerned, let me be more optimistic about our country. First of all, let us talk about country that we are lucky enough to have the youngest, or maybe one of the youngest population throughout the world. So, young population is always one of the element of the power. So, we have that capability, we have that potential that we have the young populations. The same is the case that due to that young population, we have a lot of young lawyers. And young lawyers now they command. Actually, initially we thought that these are seniors who are guiding forces, or who are directing forces for the youngsters. But now I see it's vice versa. The young lawyers are actually having the command, and this has two sorts of impact on it. Number one is that, okay, since young lawyers have become a sort of driving force, hence the senior lot of the bar is actually following them, and this goes sometimes negative, sometimes positive. So again, we can discuss on those negatives and positives of the young lawyers being the driving force, particularly into the bar. But again, I see it as a positive way. These young lawyers are driving force, but they need some guidelines, because throughout world these are the young lawyers who are being trained by the seniors. But if this young driving force is not properly trained, they can be devastating for not only the bars but for judiciary, for the public too. So we need to be more focusing on these young lawyers in terms of their training, in terms of their upbringing, in terms of their professionalism, trainings and ethics, which is very much necessary, for which I would say particularly the bar councils, Pakistan Bar Council, it may be provincial bar councils, or maybe High Court Bar Associations, or other associations at lower level, district bars or talqa bars, they must play their function.
So primarily, you would say that it is for the pupillage process, which starts after completing your graduation in law and you are on way to getting your license to practice. This process should be better regulated and supervised by bar councils, so a minimum standard can be maintained before anybody is issued a license.
Yeah, true. But see, as a nation, as a body, okay, you don't have to just count on these bar councils. Everybody has to play his role. Like seniors, they have to be more generous. Okay, they have to be forthcoming, which now the young lawyers have this complaint that they are not being properly looked at, properly taken care, properly trained, because maybe of the seniors, preoccupation with already a lawyer, a senior lawyer is a busy lawyer. He has hardly time for himself. So here we have as seniors, we'll have to be more generous in imparting these sort of education, these sort of ethics, these sort of professionalism, as well as definitely the bodies like regulatory bodies.
So this I used to experience when we were studying in the law in England. I used to experience the senior lawyers, Queen's counsels. They used to come in colleges and teach, and I think that the reward that they were getting, the payments that they were getting as against their lectures, were not a match for their time, but they still used to come. So I think, wouldn't you agree that such a trend should start here too? Our senior and renowned lawyers who have a very high respect and command in law should visit universities and colleges often.
Yeah, very true, very true. It's just very necessary, not only into the colleges, but maybe say for into the bars. We have auditoriums, we have some consultation big rooms. We can even, without going to the colleges, we can do it here into the college. And at any forum, wherever we can, I mean, the senior lawyers can, or the talented lawyers can, who are more professional. And it's their duty, I would say, additionally, that they should come forward and play their role.
You remained judge in the anti-terrorism court in Karachi. How would you describe your experience? Also, what would be your message as a judge to other judges for young lawyers?
Yeah, it was a very good experience for 5 years. 5 years is a big time in your life. I mean, it's really a chunk of your life, which I gave to the judiciary. And luckily, I was offered, and then I accepted that offer for being ATC judge. So it was very wonderful experience. Though ATC courts are deemed as a very serious courts, they are in fact, because they are dealing with the cases of the terrorism. So now your next query is particularly for youngsters, and the message for the judges is that a judge normally, if loses his temper, no doubt. I mean, even if there is the fault of a lawyer, or particularly young lawyers who are not prepared at the rostrum, it irritates you because there is a lot of burden on a judge of the day of work. You see call list, you see the list of witnesses already, and your lawyer is not coming up to the expectation of a judge or to the standard of a law. But still, see, as a judge, you have to impart justice. So you have to be very cool and calm, and you have to go a step forward, because like it's a law, say for into the appreciation of evidence. Even a lawyer has failed to point out those lacunas which he could have asked into the cross examination. It's a civil law that whatever he did not refute, or whatever he did not challenge the fact, it's deemed to be admitted. But into criminal law, a judge has to go deeper than that. He has to sort out himself whether so and so fact favorable to the accused or favorable to the prosecution is available in the file, which was not being highlighted or questioned by a lawyer. So pointer says, okay, you have to be very much forthcoming for reaching at the just decision, regardless of the fact whether a lawyer has assisted you properly or not. So, but on the other hand, you have to be very smooth with the lawyers. And being a lawyer, as a young lawyer, when I started, I felt whoever judge who was soft, who was giving me more respect and response as a young lawyer, I always used to be very much caring for that judge, and I always went into that court particularly very prepared, so that my impression does not, go in less as compared the respect he's giving to me. So it's a mutual way. A judge has to be more respectful for the lawyers, for the audience, not only for the lawyers, but for the litigants too, because judge is on a very high caliber, high seat. So he is a kind of embodiment of, justice, his embodiment of the conduct, his embodiment of all the good qualities man can have. So he has to be very much, accommodative. So I would say that to the particular judges from this forum, okay, they should be respectful for the lawyers, and they would see that giving respect, as you all know, is actually gaining respect. And when you gain respect, you gain all responses which you are expecting from a young lawyer.
You are now back to the politics in the Karachi, and last year your supported candidate had a very historic victory. Now again, you have a candidate who's being supported by you. So, what do you say about bar politics in Karachi and your political brain being benefited for the young lawyers?
Yeah, as we started with bar, young lawyers, particularly activism into the bar, is also necessary because when it's election, uh, you give an opportunity. I mean, these youngsters get an opportunity of meeting with senior lawyers. Otherwise, mostly when we were young lawyers, it was very difficult to meet and sit and dine and all with all these seniors of high caliber of 30 years of the experience, 20 years of experience, you being just recently enrolled. So into that election particular process, we don't let these kind of gifts. So this is an opportunity for juniors to quickly learn from the seniors, the ethics, the way they behave, the way they sit, the way they talk, the way they converse, the way they think on academics and legal issues. So number one, it's a very good thing that all these youngsters have this opportunity of meet up and closely see this field and closely watch, because into the elections you have always the slogans, okay, what we want to do, what the bar should do. So this is very double learning process when there is electioning into the bar or into any institute, be it colleges, be it universities throughout the world. Okay, this process definitely teaches you. And a lawyer, even if you see any of the political party, you would find brain of the parties being the lawyers. I mean, majority are mostly are great number of the young. So this is the start of these young lawyers. They learn, and they become asset one day for not only the institute, but maybe for other institutes like political segment. So it's very good. Particularly Karachi Bar, I'll talk about Karachi Bar. Karachi is a metropolitan city and one of rather biggest bar throughout country. So we have all our brothers of different ethnicities from all over Pakistan. So here, when you are into the elections as a young lawyer, you communicate, you have the chances of meet up with all sort of these ethical groups too, where you share your experience. So it's very good opportunity. While we always say this election is a friendly elections, and after elections is gone, we are again the same body. So election for the young lawyers, I would say, can never take it personally. It should be like we proceed in the cases, we behave into the court very vehemently, argue the cases against another client who is being represented by a lawyer, he rebutes your claims and all this. Once that case is over, we are again friends, sitting into the bar, having chit chat, smokes and tea together. The same is the case. These elections should not be taken as seriously. I mean, seriously in a manner that you should know the ethics even into that election process. Okay, so that tomorrow when you are coming as a candidate, or so that today who are your opponent, you have still the room to catch them, to attract them towards your goal, towards your mottos, whatever, into the party or for the candidate you are supporting and convincing.
Speaking of motto, you guys have a motto: Khushal Vakil, Purvakar Vakil. What's your take on it? Why Khushal Vakil, Purvakar Vakil?
Yeah, Kushal Vakil and Purvakar Vakil is a very good motto. It is derived from the welfare of the community, welfare of the fraternity, welfare of a lawyer. And when you as counsel, as an advocate, as a young lawyer or as a senior lawyer are Kushal by yourself, okay, then you are, suppose you are expected to deliver more. But once you are not yourself, Kushal, once you are not yourself comfortable, definitely, you cannot perform quite well. Okay. like Ji Khush Jahan Khush. Okay, like we have other proverbs like Tang Shuda and Jang Shuda. So we have to take all these lawyers away from these Tang Shuda and Jang Shuda mahol, and we have to bring them into the Ji Khush Jahan Khush. When your Ji is Khush, when you are Khush, when you are Khushal, you also can make other guys Khushal. But when you are yourself, here Latifa comes into my mind anyway. When you're yourself not Kushal, so people, we cannot expect some Kushali from you.
In the end, you are yourself a mystical man. So I would ask you to give us some wisdom from the wisdom of Hazrat Al Shabazz Qalandar.
Yeah, Lal Shabazz Qalandar wisdom. See, I would here talk about the judgment that I passed into that case. I always feel quite content if, and sometimes it gives me proud feeling that during my tenure as a ATC judge, I was assigned this case, 7 bomb blast case, in which more than 100 guys received martyrdom. They were into that bomb blast, and many hundreds got injured into that bomb blast. So while I was going deep into that case, by writing down my judgment and going into appreciation of evidence, I found into that case that say for there were many days, but only there were 70 deceased whose bodies underwent through postmortem. And when the bodies go through the postmortem, you write the name of that body. आप नाम लिखते हैं उनके father's name लिखते हैं. You also mention their addresses. So while I was checking addresses into that postmortem, so not any corner from Pakistan was left. The body from 7 bomb blast case from 7 went to Islamabad. The body went to Rawalpindi. The body went to Azad Kashmir. The body went to Quetta. The body went to almost all districts of Punjab. The bodies went to Karachi. Bodies went to almost all districts of Sindh. And the bodies went into Balochistan. So point to say is that this shrine, or many shrines, not only this, but this is one of rather the biggest shrine, I would say, if not in the world, in Pakistan, that has played beyond the limits of religion. When we saw these bodies, I was just appreciating the evidence. These bodies were not only of the Muslims; they were non-Muslims into that postmortem. This is a part of the record. There were Hindus, there were Christians into those bodies who got martyred. So point to say again, these personalities, like the person of Hazrat Lal Shabazz Qalandar, they played their role beyond the limits, beyond the limits of religion. That religion, how we translate, anyway, I'm talking with that reference. So they played beyond the limits of those religions, and all the persons of belonging to any religion. I'm not talking about sects, because sects of Islam, but I'm talking about all the religion. They get attracted to this dargah and such kind of bargas, because then we here realize that their message was not limited. Their message was for humanity, and their message was for peace. Their message was for love. And that's why into the judgment I mentioned, given all this scenario, this dargah is not only the center of federalism of Pakistan, but of the world. So hence, attack on this dargah, it's a tenth amount. It's equal to the attack on the federation on the center of Pakistan.
So you mean to say that these places of mysticism are beyond boundaries of provinces, districts, and religions? And like Latif Sarkar said, Saim Sadaim Kari Sindh Mathe Sukar, Dost Mitha Dildar, Alam Sab Abad Kari. So they go beyond their own province too.
Yeah, true.
Thank you so much, Rashid Mustafa, for sparing time for this forum.